We are fighting against corruption. We are fighting against the political system that is now.
Flavio Sampaio says he joined the marches after he saw police firing tear gas and rubber bullets at peaceful protesters. Now he's marching for a better country for his kids. Recent demonstrations were marked by violence on both sides. Tuesday night, a group of protesters tried to storm the office of Sao Paulo's mayor, kicking through the glass doors. Wednesday, the city cleaned away signs of looting and vandalism. It's this kind of destruction that could really alienate people. Protesters broke in the windows last night. They burnt this guard station down. You can see not much left, but charcoal and broken glass. Some residents were angered, but this shopkeeper said he didn't believe it was the protesters who broke into his jewelry store. It was a gang, he says, that took advantage of the movement to steal and damage things. The movement has galvanized people across the country who say they're fed up with high taxes and a lack of services like health and education, while the government spends billions on the World Cup. The majority of marchers are young and well-educated. Mateus Pires is a university student and one of the organizers. He says public transportation should be free, especially in expensive, sprawling cities like Sao Paulo.
You can't go to a hospital, you can't see your friends, you can't go to school, you can't get to work.
He said lowering fares would prove the government was listening. But it's too soon to know if it will bring an end to protests or fuel further and more far-reaching demands.
China's space program has accomplished another feat. You could say this feat was down to earth. China's 3 astronauts, now gone far in their 15-day mission, are offering lectures from their space lab to students back in the country. CNN's Nick Robertson has more on those experiments no earthbound teacher can pull off.
In China's space race. Lessons from orbit. China's 3 astronauts, now over halfway through their 15-day mission, are teaching class from their space lab 300 kilometers above Earth. Wang Yaping, the only woman on the team, is wowing China's school children with experiments no earthbound teacher could pull off. Creating floating balls of water, a lesson in surface tension. Gyroscopes, the secret to stability in 3D motion. A two-way live dialogue, just like a regular teacher. How do you measure the weight of objects in daily life, Wang asks. I measure my weight with an electronic scale at home, the student answers. Beyond this classroom, another 60 million Chinese children and their teachers tuned in to watch the extraterrestrial lectures. These space classes designed not just to enthuse a new generation, to set academic goals on the stars, but to energize China's vast earthbound population about space travel, and more importantly, support the cost of it. Even before they left for space, Wang and her 2 male colleagues were being hailed as heroes, the hopes of the nation to catch up in the global space race, riding on their exploits. Now, as the mission draws to a close and the space lab, soon to be shut down and replaced by something bigger, readies to close its airlock doors for the last time, it won't just be the astronauts breathing a sigh of relief. It will be China's leaders too. So far, an apparently flawless operation, a lesson in what China can do.
Syria is one country that was high on the agenda of the G8 summit in Northern Ireland. Now in Syria, the government said its troops are making gains against the rebels. 2 weeks ago, Syrian forces took control of the strategic city of Qusay near the border with Lebanon. CNN went there this week, and what was found was a ghost town.
Driving into Qusay, it's clear just how fierce the battles here must have been. The local church badly damaged, just like the historic mosque, and Qusay's main landmark, the iconic clock tower. Almost all residents fled during the fighting. Only a few are now coming back. George, who would only give us his first name, fled when Qusay was in opposition hands. Of course we want to keep living here, he says. We are trying to get help from the government so that we can make this town worth living in again. Qusair was held by the opposition for more than a year. It's close to the Lebanese border and became a strategic hub for the flow of weapons to rebel forces in central Syria. Regime forces backed by Hezbollah fighters launched an offensive on the town and retook it earlier this month. But the cost was immense.
It's really hard to see how anyone could claim victory here in Qusair. Look at these houses. Look how badly damaged they've been due to the fighting. There's sort of a rough cleanup operation going on in town, but it seems to us as though many of the structures here in Qusair have been damaged beyond repair.
In a rare TV interview, a Syrian military commander shows me how pro-Assad forces captured the town. First, we surrounded the city, and then we attacked it from all sides, he says. And of course, we killed a lot of them, and there were a lot of wounded. The rest of them ran away through the valleys and the mountains, mostly to Lebanon. And now we can announce that Qusair and its suburbs are totally cleansed of Islamist fighters. Totally cleansed and totally destroyed. Qusair also highlights the increasingly sectarian nature of the Syria conflict. George, like many of those now returning, is Christian. He took me to his brother's destroyed house. Couldn't hide his anger at Qusair's Sunni Muslims, many of whom supported the opposition. My brother used to live here with his kids, he says. He's an engineer. His son came to the door and they shot him because they think all Christians are against them. George says he's willing to forgive, but after so much bloodshed, it seems hard to imagine that Qusair will ever return to what it used to be. A quiet town on the Lebanese border where religious affiliation did not matter. Fred Pleitkin, CNN, Qusair, Syria.
We now take our second break. Young aspiring wrestlers under the age of 9 have been demonstrating their wrestling skills during the 3rd edition of the SOS Inter Lower Basic Schools Wrestling Championship. Madi Sise of the Region 3 was crowned champion of this year's competition, sponsored by the head of state. MS Dalla watched the bouts and he now reports.
Madi Sise alias Angale of Dibakunda Lower Basic School in Region 3 was crowned champion of the 3rd edition of the Inter Lower Basic School Wrestling Championship, organized by the SOS Children's Villages, The Gambia. This event, now in its 3rd year, is fast becoming an important date on the wrestling calendar, being the only platform that gives children the rare opportunity to showcase their skills and talents in the traditional sports. With the champions of Region 2 and 6 disqualified for apparently being over the 9-year age limit, Regions 1, 3, 4, and 5 were left to wrestle for the coveted flag, named after President Jammeh, who is the main sponsor of the event, which is organized by SOS with a view to instilling the values of these beautiful traditional sports in children. St. John's School for the Deaf got proceedings underway in the curtain raiser bout between Omosen and Tangajir, which paved the way for the main combats. The first bout was between Abdullah Jata alias Modulo of Bakau Lower Basic School and Ahmad Mai alias Yakini of Panchan Lower Basic School. After a thrilling contest, Yakini succeeded in wrestling down Modulo and booked his passage to the final. Madi Sise, who goes by his pen name Angele of Dibakunda Lower Basic School in Region 3, defeated Usman Sane or Tassayaram from Kayaf Lower Basic School to set up a meeting with Yakini in the final. The two wrestlers, Madi Sise and Ahmad Mai, faced up in what was a thrilling bout, bringing the spectators on their feet. At the end, Region 3's flag bearer proved too strong for his opponent from Region 5. Madi Sise, nicknamed Angele, was crowned the champion of the 2013 Inter Lower Basic School Wrestling Championship. And the 9-year-old grade 3 pupil from Dibakunda Lower Basic School in Region 3 was presented the President Yahya Jammeh flag